This isn't just another injury report. It's a reckoning. When Caitlin Clark's father finally stepped forward, his voice trembling, his heart heavy, it sent shockwaves through the basketball world. For years, he'd stayed in the background, content to let his daughter's game speak for itself. But this time, he couldn't. Not after what he saw. Not after watching her limp off the court again, clutching her groin, eyes brimming with tears under the unforgiving arena lights. The image wasn't just painful. It was unacceptable. What came next was even more unthinkable. Clark's personal doctor broke his silence. A figure who had monitored her body more intimately and consistently than any team trainer or league physician. And what he shared wasn't just a medical update. It was an indictment. This wasn't a new injury, he explained. It was something that had been festering for years, quietly growing worse while Clark carried a burden of women's basketball on her back. The groin injury? Just the tip of a much larger iceberg. Suddenly, every game she played this season took on new meaning. Every awkward landing, every slowed sprint, every forced smile during post-game interviews. They weren't signs of fatigue or the usual rookie learning curve. They were signs of pain. Real, grinding, unrelenting pain. And through it all, she had been playing with the same intensity that made her a legend at Iowa and a beacon of hope for the Indiana Fever. But now, the cost of that perseverance wasn't Hayes alone to bear. The world had to face it, too. This wasn't overhyping an injury or dramatizing a routine setback. This was a whistleblow by someone with nothing to gain and everything to lose by speaking out. And when he did, the impact was deafening. Because if it's true that Clark was silently carrying this burden while the league marketed her face, sold her name, and packed arenas in her wake, then this wasn't just a medical revelation. It was a betrayal. The basketball community suddenly found itself confronting an ugly question. How long had this been happening? Who knew? And who looked the other way? Because Clark's story wasn't just about a rising star pushing through adversity. It was about a system that let her suffer in silence, for ticket sales, for television ratings, for the spectacle. From the start of her rookie season, the numbers painted one picture: 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, nearly 6 rebounds per game. But the footage told another. Her footwork looked stiffer. Her crossovers, less fluid. She wasn't fading, but she was changing, and not in the way players naturally evolve. This was different, forced. The conversation started to shift. Was it pressure? Was she tired? Or was something physically wrong that no one wanted to admit? Then came the answer, like a slow, chilling realization. No, she wasn't okay. Her explosive bursts were rarer. Her minutes were more tightly managed. Those trademark full-court drives she once made look effortless were now calculated, measured. It was as if her body had drawn lines she wasn't allowed to cross, but couldn't ignore anymore. The contrast between her dominance at Iowa and the daily grind of the WNBA wasn't subtle. It was screaming. Yet, through all of it, Clark never said a word, never complained. She smiled for cameras, signed autographs, and carried the weight of a league starving for a superstar. Behind that composed exterior, though, her body was raising a red flag. And only now are we starting to see what that silence cost her. The leap from college to professional basketball is brutal for anyone. But Clark didn't just step into the league. She was asked to save it. There was no easing in, no room for mistakes, no time to rest. The WNBA schedule is relentless. The physicality, unforgiving. The travel, draining. Yet she was thrown into the fire with barely a thought for her long-term well-being. Her rookie season became more than a sports story. It was a production, media appearances, brand deals, sky-high expectations. She wasn't allowed to grow into the moment. She had to be the moment, from day one. And when you combine that level of pressure with the unforgiving demands of pro sports, something's going to break. What broke was her body. Doctors now say it wasn't just a groin injury. Her entire system was under stress. For months, maybe years. The kind of slow, silent wear and tear that builds until something gives way. And no one saw it. Or maybe they did, and said nothing. That's what's most chilling. Because if even a generational talent like Caitlin Clark can be chewed up by the very system that promised to elevate her, what does that say about how we treat athletes? What does that say about us? Fans demanded more highlights, more points, more everything. without stopping to ask if she was okay. But the most damning question now hangs in the air. Was someone keeping this hidden? The pressure to keep Caitlin Clark on the court was overwhelming. She wasn't just a player. She was a phenomenon, a brand, a movement. Every game she missed meant fewer tickets sold, fewer jerseys bought, fewer viral clips to fuel the league's growing spotlight. In that kind of environment, transparency became the first casualty. Whispers started to surface. Was the league downplaying her injury to preserve its momentum? Those closest to the situation began to wonder if commercial priorities had been placed ahead of medical ethics. Were her pain levels minimized? Were red flags ignored? The possibility that Clark may have been subtly or even explicitly encouraged to push through a condition has ignited an ethical firestorm. Sports medicine professionals have weighed in, acknowledging a troubling trend. Young athletes, especially women, often feel immense pressure to downplay pain in order to meet expectations. Under the glare of constant media coverage, that pressure can become impossible to bear. And Clark, with the weight of a league resting on her shoulders, may have felt like honesty about her pain would be seen not as strength, but as weakness. Her game, those deep threes, the slashing drives, the fearless passing, wasn't just mesmerizing. It was punishing. Every explosive cut, every pivot, every stop-and-go put serious strain on her joints and muscle groups. Point guards already endure intense physical stress, but Clark's workload was far beyond normal. Her relentless minutes, high usage rate, and physical style of play created a demand on her body that verged on inhumane. Analysts have long pointed out her unique biomechanics, noting movement patterns that, while incredibly effective, could increase her risk for injury. In college, those concerns were mostly hypothetical. In the pros, they become all too real. The groin injury isn't an isolated event. It's the outcome of years of wear and tear building up without sufficient rest or intervention. Combine that with the WNBA's physical style of play, and it was only a matter of time before something gave. Now, sports doctors are pointing to Clark's experience as a warning, a cautionary tale in the broader conversation about athlete safety and the cost of ignoring the body's limits. Greatness often comes with hidden sacrifices. But if those sacrifices go unacknowledged, if the game is allowed to go on unchecked, then the body eventually responds in the only way it can, with pain, loud and undeniable. That message is now reverberating across the league. What complicates the story further is a web of stakeholders, team doctors, personal physicians, league officials, and corporate sponsors, each with their own interests, agendas, and interpretations of the truth. And caught in the middle of all of it is a 22-year-old rookie, asked to carry not just a team, but an entire league. Legal analysts have noted that medical privacy laws make it extremely rare for an athlete's health status to be made public without consent. So when details of Clark's condition emerged, it wasn't business as usual. It was a turning point, an act of urgency, a declaration that someone, at long last, was willing to prioritize the person over the brand. But that, too, raises unsettling questions. How many people already knew? And if they knew, why didn't they say anything? The line between medical truth and commercial interest is often dangerously blurred. When millions of dollars are at stake and the league's most visible asset is in pain, whose voice gets heard? The doctors, the players, or the sponsors? In that tangled battlefield, the athlete's health can easily become collateral damage. Clark's story is quickly being studied not just as a tragic misstep, but as a playbook of everything that can go wrong when protecting the brand becomes more important than protecting the athlete. Her situation has become a flashpoint, a reckoning far bigger than one injury or one season. Because if this could happen to Clark, so publicly, so blatantly, how many others have quietly endured the same thing without a doctor willing to go public or a parent willing to defy protocol? This is no longer just a story. It's a case study in systemic failure, exposing how professional sports can exploit its brightest stars, especially when those stars become merchandise before they're even allowed to rest. What happens when the machine becomes too powerful to stop? When the momentum of media, marketing, and money is greater than truth? Clark's pain didn't fit the narrative, so it was ignored, buried under highlight reels, hidden by triple-doubles, airbrushed out of press releases. But now, the illusion is cracking. Fans who once demanded the spectacle are demanding answers. Sponsors are growing uneasy, and the silence that once shielded the league is starting to collapse under the weight of all the questions left unanswered. Did anyone try to stop this? Did anyone put her health above the hype? Or was she simply too valuable to bench, no matter the cost?